Hi, welcome back to Grains in Small Places, and today is going to be kind of a fun video for me today. I'm going to be making a chocolate almond bread, but because it's October, I'm going to shape it like a spider for Halloween. So if you're interested in the recipe for the chocolate almond bread, you can always just make that recipe and then you can put it in your bread tins and bake it like that, or as baguettes, or whatever shape you want to make it in. If you're interested in just the shaping part of it for a party or Halloween festivities or something like that, you could always just buy the bread dough already made from the grocery store and just do the shaping part of it. I'm not going to judge. So if you're interested in either of those, I'll put timestamps below and follow me along as I make the spider bread for Halloween. Okay, so to start the dough, the first thing I'm going to do is get 1.5 cups of water, and I'm going to heat that up in my microwave probably about a minute until it's warm when I put my finger in. And while that is warming up, I'm going to go ahead and grind the wheat. First, I'm going to start with 1 cup of hard white wheat. Then we're going to add 3/4 cup of hard red wheat. And I'm also going to add 1/2 cup of Kamut. You could use all hard white or all hard red wheat if you prefer. I just like the flavor of all of these mixed together. Then we will mill that with our stone mill. If you're interested in this mill, I'll link it in the description below. I did get a small bag of this hard red wheat to try out before I could recommend it, and I've actually been really happy with it, so I'll link that below as well. Okay, so milling that is going to give me about 3.5 cups of flour or so, give or take. So I'm going to set that aside here, and I'm going to go ahead and put in my warmed water, the 1.5 cup. Okay, and then I'm going to add 1.5 teaspoon of salt. I'm going to add 1/4 cup of sugar. You can use honey or whatever sweetener you want to use. And then I'm going to go ahead and grab my flour, and I'm just going to put a little more than half in here. And I'm going to go ahead and put that on just a mix. And while that starts to mix, I'm going to go ahead and put 3 tablespoons of olive oil. And I'll go ahead and type up this in the description below for you. Okay. And then I'm going to go ahead and add in about half of the amount of flour that was left. Mix that in. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and increase the speed to 2 now that everything seems to be mostly combined. And then I'm going to decide if I want to add the rest of that flour or not. Since this is a chocolate almond bread, I do want to make sure that I don't make this dough too dry, because adding the cocoa powder to it will actually make it a little bit drier. But from what I'm seeing, it looks like it can go ahead and handle the rest of the flour. So I'm going to go ahead and put the rest of the flour in. So I adapted this recipe from my 4-ingredient bread, that simple bread, and I just went ahead and made some changes to turn this into a sweeter chocolate almond bread. So if you want to check out that video, I will put a link to that so that you can see that video. Okay, and to that I'm going to add 2.5 teaspoons of yeast, which is probably about the amount of one of those packets of yeast. Okay, and I'm going to go ahead and incorporate that in. Okay, so if you have problem with gluten development, it can be a multiple reasons. Sometimes it's too dry, sometimes there's just not a great harvest, and the gluten in the actual wheat berries themselves just need a little extra kneading. A lot of times one of the tricks that you can do is if you mix it up to this point, even before you put the yeast in, just the flour and the water, even the salt and the sugar, whatever ingredients that you have, even before you put the yeast in, you can let it sit for about 5 to 10 minutes just to let that flour start to help absorb the liquid, which helps just in your process further with your kneading. So I'm going to go ahead at this point and just let this sit for about 5 minutes, and then I'm going to come back to it, and then I'll add my flavorings. Okay, it's been about 5 minutes, so now I'm going to go ahead and add my flavorings. So what I'm going to do is add about 1/2 teaspoon of my homemade vanilla, which I will put a link to my video of how to make that down below in the description. So 1/2 teaspoon of that. And we're going to use about 1/2 teaspoon of almond extract. Now this one can be pretty strong, but it does taste really good in this bread. Okay. If you've ever been to the, what was that place called? The Chocolate Emporium in Universal Studios, I believe it is. They have a chocolate almond bread there, kind of where I got the idea for this bread. It is delicious. Okay, and then to that, I'm going to go ahead and add about 1/4 cup of cocoa powder. So that we can make our spider brown. Just kind of fun for Halloween, I guess. I'm going to go ahead and incorporate all of that. I'm going to start it out on 1 so my cocoa powder doesn't go flying out everywhere. And then once that starts to incorporate, then I'll go ahead and move it up to 2 and we'll start the kneading process. It's starting to smell really good. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and turn it up to 2. And if you wanted to, you could add chocolate chips to this. I'm not going to because I'm doing the shaped bread, and that might inhibit my rise on some of the smaller parts that I'm going to be making. So I'm probably not going to add any additives to it, but you could even add cranberries or almonds or chocolate chips. All of that would be delicious if you're going to be just making a loaf or a baguette of this. Let me check on that. It's looking good so far. Okay, so this is the stage of that it's been kneading for about 5 minutes, and this is the stage a lot of recipes tell you to stop kneading. I have found with fresh milled wheat that it needs to be kneaded a lot longer than regular recipes. So let me just pull this up here, and let me just pull this off the hook and show you. This is the window pane test. So as I stretch to see the window pane, you can see it's still wanting to break. So if I were to bake this at this stage, it would still be great bread. It wouldn't need thrown away. You could eat it. But if you want that more store spongy texture, a little bit lighter, you're going to want to knead it for a little bit longer. There have been times where I've had to knead dough for 20 minutes to 25 minutes. So I'm going to go ahead and put this back on to knead. And I will come back and I will show you the window pane test, how you want it to look after it's been kneaded properly. Okay, so now this has been going for about 15 minutes. I'm going to go ahead and check the window pane test on it. Pull that up. Take this out here real quick. And I'm going to just do that test. And it looks like I have a nice amount of stretch. And I can get all the way to the window pane without it breaking. So I am happy with that. Now what I'm going to do is go ahead and cover this with some saran wrap or a towel or whatever you want to cover it with, and let it sit in a warm area for about an hour. Okay, I'm going to just go ahead and cover this with my cling film. I just got this giant roll from Sam's Club because I use it all the time. Okay, and I'm going to go ahead and put my mixer away. This little guy here, sorry, I forgot to unplug him. This guy is small but mighty, and it has traveled with me through many states as we travel around the U.S., and it has made many loaves of bread. So if you are interested in this lightweight, small, compact Bosch mixer, I will put a link below. I will put a link for Amazon and directly from Nutrimil. When I bought this directly from Nutrimil, I got a free blender attachment to the top also, so that's why I went ahead and got it from there. Okay, now that it's been an hour, my dough has doubled in size, and so I'm ready to take it over to the table, and I'll show you how to shape it. Now this would be the time where if you didn't want to do the spider shape, you could do another shape, you could do a regular loaf of bread, whatever you want to do. But I'm going to go ahead and line my baking sheet with parchment paper and set that aside so it's ready to go. And then I'm going to put a little bit of olive oil on the table and on my hands so the dough doesn't stick. Okay, now for some fun. Now I'm taking the dough out of the bowl so that I can divide it into the parts that I need for my spider. I'm going to use my bench scraper to cut the dough into different sections that I need. I'm cutting it in half. The biggest piece will be the body part of the spider. And then I'm cutting that half in half again, one for the head, and then I'm going to cut the other half into 4 pieces for the legs. I'm shaping it so that each ball is tight on the outside, creating surface tension. This is an important step to shaping bread dough. This will allow us to have a higher rise and to keep a better form. Once I get it how I like it, then I'm going to decide where I want the placement of it on my baking sheet that I have lined with parchment paper here. I do the same thing with the smaller ball to form the spider head. Now I'm taking the last 4 pieces and rolling them out to make the legs. I have to press out all the air pockets while I'm doing this. Okay, now I'm gonna place them on the baking pan, just kind of laying them out to see how I like the look of it. So I'm gonna put 2 legs facing the back, and I'm gonna put 2 legs facing the front. I kind of wish that I had a bigger pan so that I could spread the legs out more for a better effect, but this is the size that fits my small space. As you can see, I wasn't really happy with the placement of the head and legs, so I moved it. I was much happier with the results. Okay, now I'm going to cover the spider and let it rest for about 30 minutes. Okay, and now with the magic of video editing, it's been about 30 minutes, and our spider has now doubled in size. I preheated my oven to 400 degrees. Now I'm just going to brush an egg wash, just a simple egg wash, all over the spider to give it a shiny exterior. And now I'm going to bake him for 25 minutes. Here's the reveal. I think it turned out pretty cute. And you can always serve it with some spiderweb dipping sauce. Just kidding. It's just marshmallow fluff. So I might have went a little overboard on the marshmallow fluff dipping sauce. Is it wrong to be pulling the head off? I don't know. We're just going to slice through this so we can see what the center of the loaf looks like. Perfectly baked, so soft and fluffy. I hope you enjoyed the video today. If you did, please give me a like and maybe subscribe. I'd really appreciate it. And leave a comment below if you want to see me try to attempt any other shaped breads. We're just going to serve this alongside of the marshmallow fluff. I had a little fun with that. And maybe some butter. So happy Halloween, and thank you for stopping by Grains in Small Places. Goodbye.